Hi, everybody. This is the SEBA project meeting for August 7th, 2018. If you haven't seen me before, I'm Zach Williams. We have a bunch of the SEBA core team members here in the ONF office in Menlo. I sent a message to the mailing list just earlier about going through Jira items, sort of to plan the future work on SEBA. I'd like to get those items recorded, and also to give people an opportunity to pick up tasks or to see how tasks are going if they have dependencies on various things. So I'm going to switch over to Jira and sort of go over what we've done so far and what what we're going to be working on in the future. To give Okay, so to give an idea, we've got quite a few things in the SEBA board in Jira. A lot of these items are. I'm first going to go over the completed items. Rather than a traditional sort of sprint style planning, I think we decided that we're going to do it more of a Kanban style, where we grab sort of highest priority items. So if you have an item that you need to get added to here, add it and set the priority field in Jira, and we can go from there for getting it done. We have about 30 items here that were assigned, and a lot of them were completed quite a while ago. I don't think I'm going to go over them all because a lot of them are sort of setting up the infrastructure and the some of the foundational parts of our current SEBA deployment. But in the future, I'm going to have this cut down so that it's only for the last 2-week period working on. I sent out a tentative schedule because the AT&T Foundries effort is mainly focused on getting their September deadline. It looks like we have 4 2-week periods until through the end of September. So the goal is to do this sort of a review every 2 weeks. Is everyone hearing me okay? I'm not hearing anyone else talking.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So I'm going to move over to the main SEBA board. What we've done is we created, when a few ONF people were in Atlanta meeting with the Foundry, we created a September version target, and we added various items to it. There are currently 45 items in this. We have a few that are high priority. Most are medium or low priority. And basically all the things that are on here are things that need to get done for the September deadline. We have a few that are in progress. Would people like to speak about those? Kailash?
Yeah, sure. So we got the QCT Pod 1 configured for Core 6.0 and future releases for the Kubernetes environment. So I'm just going to go ahead and start creating a build job for that. And so we can start using it. It's just an additional pod that we have that we can use for testing. So yeah, that's in progress, should be done by today.
Okay, so that's going to let us deploy the current set of SEBA charts and test them on them. Does that have OLTs and ONUs connected to it?
Not sure.
No, we don't.
Okay, alrighty. But that'll let us see all the Kubernetes and other infrastructure pieces.
Yeah, it's got 3 compute nodes, 4 switches.
Okay, great. So it's a fabric in the whole.
Yeah.
Okay, great. SEBA 126 limit VLAG tag values in the data model.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy task. We are missing validation for the maximum values for the C tag. So even if you insert a value like 10,000, the data model will accept it, but it doesn't make any sense. So we're going to add that validation.
Okay. Matt, are you on the call? With the Foundry? Did we get the Foundry people here?
I just sent them an email. Hopefully they'll show up.
Okay. So there is a requirement we learned about when we were at the Foundry of needing LACP on the BNG port upstream of the aggregation switch. That was Michael was looking, or Matt was looking into that. Sorry. SEBA 83 is persistent storage infrastructure. This is something I've been working on to get persistent volumes inside of Kubernetes, at least for our test environment, and possibly taking that to production if a SEBA deployment needs that. And then Charles, SEBA 159.
It's part of the OCP story.
Okay. That's great. So we have a bunch of uncompleted tasks here. Just to go over these. First one was Helm chart to deploy Elasticstack. For logging, we're building on top of the persistent storage. We're going to do an Elasticstack deployment that'll let us aggregate the logs from various SEBA components. The next few. Mike Zadig, I think he's probably at the Foundry too. These are helping defining some of the models and data structures for the alarms, metrics, and events that are coming out of, I think, primarily Volta, but some other parts of SEBA. The next few are enhancements to the testing infrastructure, Kailash.
Yeah, so that's just creating the job for the QCT pod. Looks like we have another one for. We have another pod.
Yeah, the other one is the Flex OCP rack. So that's getting from Flextronics. They want to set up new OCP rack and then they want to deploy pod on it. So Sid from Flex is working on that. That's from the community. And the other one is almost complete. This is the one which I'm working on to have zero touch provisioning and then have the build job separately and for the zero touch. So that's almost done. This is using real OLTML.
Okay, so this sets up the OLT from scratch on. Is this the primary pod we're using for testing?
Yes,
okay.
That's the primary one.
Okay, those are all of the ONF testing pods that are hooked into the Jenkins system. Okay, Mateo, SEBA 110.
So we need to add a couple of fields to describe where we are expecting an ONU to come up, like the switch port and the PON port, so that we can validate that when a ONU come up, it has been plugged in the correct hardware. The next one, we need a couple extra fields in the subscriber model. This is a pretty easy change. We're going to add those. We need those fields to send them along with the packets for 802.1x authentication. And SEBA 112, it's just a renaming of a model that was wrongly named.
Okay, thanks, Mateo. SEBA 113, Scott?
Yeah, so the first thing is that we want to, for the BNG port mappings in the Fabric Cross Connect service, we want it so that we can be able to specify that a particular port is mapped to any STAG instead of specific STAGs. Possibly also have a syntax in there for specifying ranges. So a port could be STAGs 1 through 5, for example, but most important is the any.
This was because the aggregation switch is hooked to multiple OLTs. You wanted to have an easy way to specify which STAGs get mapped to a specific port on the ag switch that's connected to a specific OLT. Is that correct?
I think
this is
also
BNG.
Oh, it's the other way around. Okay.
That we have only one BNG in this use case, so we don't need to specify to which BNG each STAG is going because we have just one, so we can say that all the STAG are going to that port.
Okay, that makes sense. And then custom cross-connect config?
Yeah, and then the next one was to be able to, well, right now all of our Fabric Cross Connect entries are tied to a subscriber. We need to be able to have a Fabric cross connect that we can attach to a VM, just a specific entry that would take that just generates the source port, destination port, device.
Okay. And then propagating OLT port events to Kafka. I think this is Jonah.
Yeah, there's some events that are not currently being propagated. We propagate the UNI additive in right now, but not the removed or any status changed. So we need to add that.
Okay, thanks. 126, limit VLAN tag values. This, I think, goes along with the other tag thing of having...
That's, I think, the same.
Okay. Can you mark it as dupe and close it then?
No, I think it's really the same tickets we are looking at.
Okay. Yeah, we have. I think we looked at that too. We have a few that are unassigned. There's these ones that are operational status of the 802.1x authentication diagnostics and session, and also DHCP relay. These were statistics we wanted to get out of ONOS and into Kafka. So we're currently looking for people who are interested in participating and want to have items assigned to them. We tried to pick items that are fairly easy. If you go into
the operational status ones are not really for Kafka, or the operational status ones needs to have this is a query, this is a retrieve, it needs an API that somebody can come in from upper layers and pull the immediate status of those things, as opposed to things that might happen in alarms or PM or something like that might get posted up with Kafka. This is a query.
Okay. So do we need
in case that wasn't clear from the way it was written? This is a pull request from an upstream system.
Okay.
What is the
we need an API defined to go in and get this information.
What is the advantage of having a query-like endpoint compared to collecting statistic over time and creating a time series out of that?
These are the operational tools that AT&T currently uses for they want to be able to retrieve the status immediately. I mean, if you have this in an Elastic Store database where you can retrieve this immediately, I mean, right now we have these status commands that operational teams are used to using, as opposed to going back and this is how they operate the network currently.
Are these Swagger APIs? APIs, are they using Swagger? Swagger, I mean, for API creation? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I can hear you. I don't know the answer to that question.
It can become a REST API.
Are you talking about? I mean, right now these are statistics that can be pulled from other types of network elements in AT&T, and so operational teams use the APIs that other types of network elements do to pull these statistics on a real-time basis, not on a 15-minute or on a historical basis, but what are these stats currently? What is the current state of these stats?
So it's a one-time call, basically, API call. That's what you want?
Anything that says operational status is give me the current state of this information, not historic or PM. I mean, PM is binned historically, 15-minute bins. The alarms are obviously flowing. This operational status ones are real-time pull, real-time one-shot.
So not based on VNF event streaming, or is it based on direct SNMP? How is it right now configured?
I don't know that it's configured right now at all. I mean,
okay.
the request is that you give the real-time status of these parameters.
So one thing I can do is I can try one to understand it and maybe, but I'm not sure at this time based on what I know that whether I can execute it. But I would like to take a look at one of them, at least say 8221x, let's say authentication, or one of them you can just, I can go and take a look at, say what it is, and then based on whether I can do or not, then I will report back.
Okay, that's great. Do you, are you registered in the in Jira yet?
Yeah, I'm registered. I think I was given the access. I'm not sure, but because last two meetings I missed. I'm from Dell. I'm in the integration group, and like to at least give one try and then see if I can help in the integration effort.
That sounds good. Feel free to go into SEBA 34 and assign it to yourself. And if you have questions about that, ask on the SEBA mailing list, or we can definitely work out the.
So SEBA 34. Okay, I'll take a shot at it. SEBA 34. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. If we move through those, I think that maybe there's a need for both for this information to be collected both ways as a time series database and also as have a sort of a queryable endpoint.
Yeah, that's certainly possible. I mean, we can always add a REST API in addition to what we were planning to do. And the REST API can be pulled through Swagger for a one-time thing of what is the exact, immediate values of all these counters. So that's certainly doable.
Okay. Moving past those, the Onos OLT app should push DHCP trap flows for the NNI port. Jonah?
Yeah, currently they pushes trap flows for UniPods, but we also need trap flows for NNI pod.
Okay. The next few are Don Newton's items. I'm not sure if he's on. Are you on, Don? Okay. These are relating a lot of to the way that, in at least the AT&T workflow, there's a mapping of sort of chassis and port and down to the OLT and ONU that is formed into a string that is used for authentication and for to identify each down to the subscriber and how they're connected. That is specific to the AT&T's workflow, and we're going to try. And these are items for him to figure out exactly how the syntax of that and how that gets passed through the SEBA system. SEBA 115 status gateway to allow Onos to pull NEM, pull data from NEM. This is also Jonah.
Yeah. So there's some data in NEM that Onos needs to pull in for DHCP relay and for Linux authentication relay, and we need to add a kind of a gateway application for it to be able to pull that data in. It basically just translates the NEM format to what Citizen is expecting.
Okay, thanks. And then fix the way that Onos apps are built into Volta Onos container.
Yeah, so actually that's done.
Okay,
we're no
great.
longer using the Volta Onos that is distributed as part of Volta. We have installed Onos that we pull the apps in at deploy time.
Okay, great. Can you mark that as done?
Sure.
Okay, SEBA 138, on-demand backup and restore of NEM database. Further on, we're going to see an item for doing data migrations within versions of NEM components. This is basically allow backup and restore of the internal NEM database, which stores all of their persistent information to assist in that effort and also be an operational tool so that you can back up a database, wipe a cluster, and restore it if you need to. Also for testing, restoring a backup, performing a version upgrade, those sorts of things, maybe on a test system. SEBA 140 is unassigned. Read the events published from Volta into the Kafka bus and publish them in NEM. Matteo, you created this one.
Yeah, so we already have that, but well, we have the counterpart of that to read the KPIs. We need something to read the events and the alarm that Volta will publish on the Kafka bus and make them available into Elasticstack.
Okay, so this is sort of a logging integration with the with Volta and through Kafka.
Yeah. So we're actually soliciting the community for two kinds of help on this piece. First of all, if you look at the Epic FCAPs from Volta, there are a number of different alarms that need to be propagated up from Volta onto the Kafka bus. We currently have maybe only one or two of them being generated by the OpenOLT adapter in Volta and pushed onto the Kafka bus. We need help to get more of these alarms and events. So that is actually something to deal with on the Volta Jira board. But so that's one kind of help we're looking for. And then once it's on the Kafka bus, there are mechanisms in NEM to be able to put it through the monitoring infrastructure and have it be show up when somebody's doing an Elasticsearch query into, say, the history of events or history of alarms that have come up. So there's that's also where we are looking for help from the community. So if you're interested in either of these, either working in Volta or working in NEM to push things onto Kafka and pull things off of it, please speak up.
Okay, thanks. 143, create a Prometheus exporter for this time series. I think this is for the authentication, diagnostic, and DHCP information.
Yeah, that was for that. So the priority depends on whether we want to do first the one-shot query endpoint or start collecting time series. I'm pretty sure that if we collect time series, we can then use the Prometheus API to retrieve the current status of it.
Okay.
But I need to look into it.
Okay, thanks, Matteo. And then Outstack exporter for event kind of data. This is similar, except for rather than Prometheus, into Elasticstack. Okay. SEBA 147. See what breaks when only using one ONOS across Fabric and OLTs. The current deployment deploys 2 copies of ONOS that would need to be clustered. And this is taking ONOS and having it all run in one instance, one cluster across the aggregation switch, Fabric, and OLTs. This, I think, also lets us visualize better within ONOS. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So Jonah is handling that. Mainly, I think the issue here is that some of the apps might be written so that they assume that everything attached to ONOS is an OLT, and when that is not the case, it might be an aggregation switch or Fabric switch. Moving on, 802.1x authentication, emulation, and BBSIM. This is Keita. And so this is adding emulation support for this authentication method, the BBSIM.
Yeah, BBSIM is basically a simulator meant for scale testing to, tens of OLTs and hundreds of thousands of ONUs. And so we're in the process of building this simulator. It'll only do control plane, it won't do the data plane. And so Kieta from NTT is working on this simulator. And part of that simulator is to be able to simulate 802.1x DHCP messages coming from an RG. So that's part of the work.
Okay, great. 151, document how to deploy Ponson for testing and development of SEBA. Andy?
Yeah, so I've been working on bringing up SEBA using Ponson to provide virtual OLT in U and RG. And the goal is to provide an environment that'll be useful for end-to-end testing without having a full hardware pod, and also for developers. And so this task is, once I get that working, to provide a document and circulate that.
Okay, and Ponson does data plane level emulation?
My understanding is that that is not totally working right now, but yeah, that's the idea, that you should be able to do like an end-to-end ping test over the data plane
Through Ponson as an
Ponson.
OLT ONU emulation.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Next one.
I have one comment on this one, and just in the title, and for me, when I was putting in these use cases, I was putting in the concept of an abstract OLT with the idea of grouping things into uplinks as being a very generic type of way to work, and I was not intending it to become the AT&T specific, we're the only ones that can use it kind of modeling. So I hope this doesn't discourage any others from looking at this and seeing it as just a model of grouping ports into views to look like OLTs. So I just have a little bit of a problem with the wording of it, not necessarily the details of what's being worked. So maybe we can rename it.
Yeah, I mean, that's right, Mike. I think we have talked to some other providers, and they do seem to want to use the same concept of the abstract OLT. So yeah, I think in some places we call it AT&T's abstract OLT. You're right, it's generic, and if other people want to use it, they can use it. If others don't want to use it, they can choose not to use it. So we're constructing the system in that way.
There was a question in chat. This whole
Right, I think Andy was doing something about the Ponson, right? So the VOTA 1121 has something about the gRPC issues with the Ponson adapters. So I'm just wondering whether that is blocking your effort there.
It's not. So I got a draft patch that fixes this issue by disabling the SSL for gRPC, and so I'm not blocked on that right now. But that's something that needs to be resolved before we can actually get this in the master branch.
Because I think the goal is to have the encrypt gRPC connection, right? So right now, if you disable SSL, that's sort of like a workaround.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I didn't create the patch that disabled it, but I was blocked on it, and then somebody pointed me to that patch.
So I can help with because I helped with some of the other SSL stuff. I can help with that if you get an environment set up that you can repeat. I guess maybe we should wait for your document that describes how to set it up, and then we can try flipping on the SSL bit and
iterate
on that there.
So can we assign this ticket to Zach? I'm trying to get VOTA move on too.
Yeah.
So
I can take a look at it.
That's good.
I'll do that. Maybe link it, and it's blocked. It is blocked by, which one is it? 11 SEBA 151. Okay, so I'll wait until Andy is done with his documentation, and then go from there.
Okay.
Ponson, integrate Ponson NNI with Mininet. I think this was connecting Ponson and Mininet together so you can have an aggregation switch and an OLT emulation as a test environment.
Yeah. This is like to emulate the entire data plane.
Right. Okay. DHCP emulation by VBSim. This is also should this also be assigned to Keita?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, this is really just a question related to the Ponson. So if it is not the mininet, like if there is a real fabric switch, does the Ponson end-to-end flow work?
Not currently, but with the changes that we're making, hopefully you would be able to connect us into a real fabric.
So there are cases where people might have a fabric switch but no OLT, and that's okay. Did we want to?
Sorry, I think Jono was too far, so we couldn't hear him. So maybe Zach, can you repeat Jono's answer or comment?
Come closer.
I should have been there today. Okay. Jono?
I was just saying that currently you can't. The data plane emulation on Ponson doesn't work, but once we make the changes that we're going to make, you should be able to connect on this one for
I'm sorry, I still couldn't hear you.
I'll re-say it. So once Ponsim is once we get some fixes into Ponsim, we'll be able to hook it to a real fabric switch. So you'd be able to have an emulated OLT and ONU, but a physical existing aggregation fabric switch. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the fixed switch is not related to the encrypted gRPC codes, right?
No.
It's something else because I have the patch which makes it unencrypted, like insecure connection, and it works, but the end-to-end flow still doesn't work. So I'm just checking if someone has successfully done a Ponsim end-to-end flow using the fabric switches.
Yeah, so the changes to create the data plane emulation in Ponson have not been completed yet. So you wouldn't be able to pass packets through the data plane of Ponson right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty. Did we need a separate item for that, for testing Ponsim with a physical aggregation switch? Or is that something we should?
We can make a Jira for it. I think, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's lower priority though than emulating the entire data plane.
I agree.
Because that's kind of
more, and also it's faster to have everything up in emulation than to have that one case. Okay, moving on. SEBA 154, NEM components pushing logs, so Elasticstack. This is the current NEM setup doesn't send its logs to Elasticstack. So along with Onos and Volta, this would be log aggregation in the system. Creating a test plan for the September SEBA scenario. So this is internal testing. I think Suchitra did this.
Yeah, I'm working on it, so mostly they'll review it too.
Okay, so we should have a plan for testing the various components of SEBA by then. The next,
and then the rest of them are, those 5 are the stories, kind of break it up from the larger lag LCP support stories.
Okay. Alrighty. I think that's it. Are there any items? We've gone over all the new items, and we have a few unassigned items here. And one of them, this one is going to be picked up. Is there anybody on the call who is looking for work and wants to take on any of these items? You can just pick one and grab one. You can go to the backlog and click on assigned and take one on if you want, or if you have specific questions, either ask on Slack or on the mailing list. Are there any other issues with dependencies? Is there anything that's blocking, any ticket that's uncompleted that's blocking your work, or that we haven't brought up already? Or priorities that need to be changed? I'm not hearing anything, so I think that's going to conclude this portion of the meeting. I think this went pretty good, especially for our first time.
Zach, this is really sorry for the delay. I have a quick question. Like when going through the FCAPs, I see some. I mean, there is no a clear dependency on the external OSS services. Like even the VLANs assigning everything is done by the external OSS. And so when we do testing for the September release, so I mean, are we going to simulate an OSS service, or we'll still use the XOS R core service, which currently gives the CVLAN tags and everything? With respect to testing, like how, I mean, there is a dependency I see from reading the FCAPs on the OSS services.
Don't think I understood that.
Yeah, is the question that there was is there still a dependency on an external OSS?
Yeah.
Or
the question is like from the FCAPs, there is a lot of the functionalities which were currently in 6.0, which was done by XOS, is actually done by the external OSS. I mean, to give an example, assignment of the VLAN tags, everything.
Not FCAPs, so that's subscriber provisioning. And yeah, the subscriber provisioning can be done by just making the subscriber provisioning API calls into NEM. So yeah, even without an external OSS, if you have a test script that makes the gRPC or Tosca or REST call for subscriber provisioning, that should be good enough.
Don Newton took on a lot of those tasks in the abstract OLT epic. And I'm not sure he's on the call, but that would be who to talk to about those sorts of issues. Any other questions? Anything that we need to add to this that is going to be vital for the September release that people are aware of? Okay, I'm going to close down Jira here. And do we have other things to talk about for this meeting today? Okay. The goal is to do this every 2 weeks. Next week, we're probably going to go back to having a more conventional meeting. Larry should be around to help guide that. Other than that, please ask.
Yeah, just
go ahead.
One question. I have put my name there for the SEBA 35. If you can assign me Jira, I do have, I believe, one, but I don't know the link. I had one for COD or XOS, ONOS or XOS I used to work on previously. So just see if you have my account pramchan@yahoo.com. Maybe I can start SEBA 35 before we close this. Thanks.
Could you repeat the name?
I have put down pramchan@yahoo.com. You used to have account. I used to work in ONOS, or possibly it was XOS. I don't recollect. A couple of years back. So I have tried to see if my account is there. If it is there, then just enable it for SEBA and give me the Jira link, and I'll start working on SEBA 35. Thanks.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, I've assigned you.
Okay, thanks.
Alrighty. Okay, any other comments, questions? Okay, I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you all for joining us. Bye.